Welcome to Bhagavad Gita for All with Nalan Narula on GettingPositiveKarmaNow.com. Recorded in front of a live audience.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Last time we had completed text 16 of chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, and we will continue from there. So as a reminder, this is about how to attain the Supreme, how to reach the place where there is no old age and death. And in the continuity of the previous lecture, Krishna is saying that in text 15, Mam upetya puna janma dukhalayam ashaswatam na apnuvanti mahatmana sansiddhim parmam gata. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis engaged in devotional service never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries, from the highest planet to the lowest planet in the material existence. They don't return because they have attained the samsiddhim parmam gata. They have achieved the highest form of perfection. So the highest form of perfection is to be engaged in Krishna's service. Again in text 16 he is repeating a similar idea, a similar statement, a similar verdict, that from the highest planet in the material world to the lowest, all are places of misery where repeated birth and death take place. So, puna janma na vidyate. Do not take birth again when they come to me. So ultimately, whether you are following any system of linking with the divine, you have to come to the point of devotional service. The service is to Krishna to fulfill his mandate given to living entities, that you have a choice to either rotate in the material world or use and serve the inferior nature, my inferior nature, or you serve me directly, you serve my superior nature and you serve me, and then you come to me. So that is the verdict here. So text 17 of chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita. Sahasra yug parayantam ahar yad brahmano vidu ratrim yuga sahasrantam te aho ratra vido jana. Sahasra yuga prayantam aha yat brahmana. So Brahmana is referring to Lord Brahma, who is the architect and secondary creator of the universe under inspiration and direction from Krishna. And by materialistic calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day. Now, such is also the duration of his night. So this is a vast amount of time. These are various kalpas or yugas, and one kalpa is the day of Brahma, which consists of 1,000 cycles of the 4 yugas. So 1,000 into 4. So there's the Satyug, Treta Yug, Dwapar and Kali Yug. And the natures of these yugas are different. The natures means the nature of the people, the nature of consciousness, basically. So in Satyug, which lasts 1,728,000 years, there is the nature or the characteristic of wisdom, virtue and religiosity. And then in Treta Yuga, the defects or the vices start to increase, and this yuga lasts 1,296,000 years. In Dwapar, further decline of religion, and at the end of Dwapar is when Krishna appears. So that's the borderline between Dwapar and Kali. So the Dwapar is lasting for 864,000 years, and then when Krishna leaves the planet after his advent here, after the Mahabharata war and so on, in Kali Yuga you have 432,000 years, of which approximately 5 to 6,000 years have passed. So this Kali Yuga is known as the Iron Age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Cheating, lying, quarreling, all that is going on. And this is one cycle of one age, one kalpa, and then there are 1,000 such in one kalpa, and one millennium cycle, there are 1,000 such cycles, and then that's one day, and a similar amount of time is one night. So it is a phenomenal amount of time which is inconceivable by our mind, as difficult to imagine. Text 18. Avyaktad vyaktaya sarva prabhavanti aha agame ratri agame praliyanti tatra eva avyakta sanyake. So avyaktat vyaktaya, from the unmanifest, the vyaktaya, the manifest living entities appear, come into being. Sarva prabhavanti, they appear, they come into being. Aha agame, at the beginning of the day of Brahma. And then ratri agame pralayanti tatra eva avyakta sanyake. So at the fall of night of the day of Brahma, all the living entities are annihilated completely, their bodies are destroyed, and they enter the unmanifest form. So how does that happen? When Vishnu is lying on the Garbhodaksha ocean and he is breathing out, all the universe is manifest. And then these cycles go through. And then he breathes in, all these universes go back to him, and that's the night. And then he breathes out again, and then there are more creation is happening. So at the night of Brahma, all the creatures, including Lord Brahma, enter into the body of Vishnu. And when he breathes out, they come out again. Text 19. Bhut gramasa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratri agame avasha partha prabhavati aharagame. That means that when the day, all the living entities, bhuta grama, the whole, you can say, community, the whole community of the living entities, whatever their bodily form may be, sa eva ayam bhutva bhutva, they take birth, rebirth, and then they are pralayate, they are destroyed at the night, ratri, on the arrival of night, ratri agame, avasha, definitely, automatically, it is happening, there is no escape from that. Partha prabhavanti aha agame, and then when the day comes, they are again becoming manifest and active. Text 20. Parastasmat tu bhava anya avyakto avyaktat sanatana yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. Parastasmat tu bhavo anya. Para is the transcendental nature beyond the material modes of nature. Tasmat tu bhava anya avyakta. This transcendental nature which is beyond the manifested and unmanifested matter. So there is a further revelation of information that there is another nature of Krishna's which is eternal and transcendental to the manifest and unmanifest matter, the material universe. It is supreme and it is never vinashyati, never annihilated. Na vinashyati, it is never annihilated. And when this whole world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. We have corroboration of this in Lord Brahma's prayers to Krishna from the Brahma Samhita, where he addresses the first shlok of the Brahma Samhita is Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakaran Karanam. That's the beginning of chapter 5. That's the only chapter that survives of the Brahma Samhita, and these are the 100 prayers to Lord Krishna, describing his glories and his aspects, what he does. So, Ishvara Parama Krishna, out of many controllers, he is the supreme controller, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Parama means the absolute topmost, the supreme controller. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, whose form is made of Sat Chit Anand. All truth, all knowledge, all bliss, and all beauty, and so on, other opulences are there, complete in all the 6 opulences, including being his form being made of Sat Chit Anand. And Anadir Adir Go. Anadir Adir means when there is the manifest material creation and when there is the unmanifest material creation. At that time, Krishna is still there. Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakaran Karanam. So when there is the manifest and the unmanifest, Krishna is there. And Sarvakaran Karanam, cause of all causes. The supreme controller, the supreme being, cause of all causes. When nothing remains, he is there. When things are there, he is already there before that. So whether the material manifestation appears or does not appear, he is always there. And his transcendental home is always there. That is his superior nature that is beyond the manifestation of the material universe from Brahmalok downwards. So that is the verdict of Lord Brahma. And in text 21, this Lord Krishna is saying this, Avyakta akshara iti ukta tam ahu paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante tat dham paramam mama. This supreme abode of mine is akshara, indestructible, undestroyable, infallible, and it is avyakta, it is unmanifested. It is called unmanifested because it is not a material creation like situation. It is the supreme destination. It is the Paramam Gatim, Ahu, known as Paramam Gatim, known as the supreme destination. Yam Prapya, upon gaining which, Na Nivartante, never come back, Tat Dham Paramam Mama. Nobody ever comes back from that place, which is my supreme abode. Now, Krishna has many abodes. Whole of Vaikuntha Lok is expansion of Krishna's abodes. But his personal supreme abode, amongst all of those, the most supreme is Krishna Lok or Golok Vrindavan. And it is described that the spiritual sky is, these planets are spread like the petals of a lotus, and at the central point of the lotus is Golok Vrindavan. So Krishna appears in many four-handed forms. In all the other Vaikuntha Loks, he does not appear in his two-handed form, but his four-handed Vishnu form, and they are known differently. And of course, as Lord Ram, also he appears in two-handed form. When he appeared in this planet, Lord Parshuram also comes in his two-handed form because Lord Parshuram is an empowered manifestation of Krishna, and so on. This is very, very clear that once a person goes to the spiritual sky, and in that spiritual sky, one who goes to Krishna's home planet, his home creation, they are never coming back to the material world. So this also applies to the other spiritual planets, and there, depending on how one is inspired by which aspect of Krishna's incarnation or his expansion or his activities one is inspired, one will achieve that planet. The material reflection of Golok Vrindavan is, of course, Vrindavan in Mathura, in not far from Delhi, and that is a reflection, that is the manifestation of the spiritual Vrindavan. So it is difficult to understand, but we need to understand that what is in the spiritual is reflected in the material, and the hidden Vrindavan is in Navadvip, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 500 years ago, and that whole place is a place of 7 islands, like you have the seven oceans of creation. It is a replication of that area. When somebody goes there to Golok Vrindavan, he is not coming back. And then text 22, Purusha sa parah partha bhaktya labhyastu ananyaya yasyanta sthani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. So Purusha sa para, the supreme person, the supreme sustainer. Purusha, the male, sustaining, strong, supreme, immovable. These are all aspects of being Purusha. Para, beyond whom there is nobody else. Partha, son of Pritha, my dear cousin. Bhaktya labhya tu ananya yasya antasthani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. So, my dear cousin, my brother, my friend, by bhaktya, by unalloyed devotional service, ananyaya, unalloyed, uncolored, that means not contaminated with any other devotional service of any kind. In other words, it is a singular thing, that you are completely devoted to me. There is no demigods, there is nothing. You are completely devoted to me. So, bhaktya labhya tu ananyaya. Ananyaya means not admixtured with anything else, undeviating devotional service. Yasya anthasthani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. Although he is spread throughout this material manifestation, he is present in his spiritual home. So in some of the last few lectures we mentioned that Krishna is here, but at the same time he is in Golok Vrindavan also, and that is inconceivable to us. We cannot understand this with our very limited senses. We need to understand this through realization and perception, direct perception. The authorities have given this commentaries on this shlok also, similarly, stating this, that by devotional service, by bhakti, only one can achieve Krishna, and this is uncontaminated. Not many, I am going here, there, I am running to this God, I am running to that God, I am going to Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigrah Go, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karan Karana. So that's my goal. So if one is going to that point, he is never coming back, and he is going to be free of all this misery that is found from the highest place in material existence, from Brahmalok down to the lowest Patal Loks, the hellish planets. Now, there are some calculations of time that how long has one been floating around in this material world. It's a huge amount of time. And I'll just refer to the amount of time that the living entity has been floating in this material universe to give you an idea how many births have taken place. So the authorities, the Vedic authorities have worked this out, that there are 36,000 cycles of dissolution and creation during Brahma's lifetime. These are the kalpas, which contains 43,200,000 births and deaths for a human being based on a 100-year lifespan. 43,200,000, inconceivable amount of time. Before the creation of the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, Krishna was there. After this creation is no more visible, it's unmanifest, Krishna is still there. The understanding of how to attain to the Supreme is given here very clearly, that it is by uncontaminated, unmixed devotional service to Krishna. Not that I'm going to hedge my bets. I will also look at this demigod and that demigod and approach this one sometimes when it's more convenient for me and opportunistic, and at other times I will go and cry at Krishna's door. That is not unalloyed. That is mixed. So he is talking about pure devotional service. So that is the meaning of pure devotional service. No demigods, no this God, no that God, only one supreme God, Krishna. Okay. So to come to this point is the maturity of one's development in spiritual practice and spiritual life. Those who are coming to this point of understanding and, more importantly, acting with this understanding, they are sure to go back to the supreme destination and never come back. So that should be the goal of everyone, actually. Because whether your Brahma also has to die after 100 years. In his case, those who have elevated themselves to Brahmalok and progressed in their spiritual practice, at the end of Brahma's 100 years, he merges into Vishnu directly, and then everybody he takes from his planetary system to the spiritual sky. But for others, it's difficult. If you manage in the higher planets and you do not complete your work, again you're given an opportunity to go to a place where you can progress your understanding and your knowledge and your practice of devotional service. And this age and day, Kali Yuga, this iron age of quarrel, hypocrisy, cheating, lying and everything that goes with that, is in fact the best time to progress, because within so much negativity, relativity is also there, that if you are practicing even a little bit, it carries you much further, because you're going against the flow. So if you are going against the flow of the age, which is Kali Yuga, a deteriorating age, you are creating a ripple of golden light, which will take you up to the spiritual worlds. So even a little effort in this age has very big results in progressing you. So many demigods, the demigods are wanting to be born, that if they finish with this cycle, those who have the understanding, we want to come back here, because this is the fastest way to progress. And in that age is that you get connected to the karmic healing energies like Reiki, the KQ force, the Brahminical energies, by whatever name called, and then you have the active tools to work with this energy on a daily basis for every single thing you do, which is available only with the empowerment of Reiki and the KQ force. The Brahminical empowerment takes you to a different connection. It does not empower you to heal other people's life as directly as the KQ force and Reiki does. The Brahminical can heal their own lives, they can help others to progress, and they're needed for that. But unless they have the KQ and the Reiki, they're not going to get to the place where you're going to get as quickly. And then chanting the Maha Mantra helps like anything. So at the point of death, if you remember Krishna, by connecting with his energies of the karmic healing energies, of the heart energies of Reiki, of Krishna, which is Reiki, the heart energies of Krishna, and the crown chakra energies of Krishna, which is the KQ force, then you're in a very good place. So if you keep that in mind, then everything comes into perspective, and your millions of years and billions of floating around in the material universe those are crossed over in an instant. So you don't need to endeavor separately for anything. Everything is provided for. So we will pause here today at text 22 of chapter 8, which is that you can attain to Krishna. The heading of this chapter is attaining the Supreme. So you can attain the Supreme Person, Krishna, who is without a second, without an equal, through unalloyed devotional service only. And he is always present in his abode of Golok Vrindavan. He is all pervading throughout the universe, through the spiritual sky and also through the material world, which is part of his nature, separated nature, and which is controlled by his direct energy of Yogamaya, who creates the three material modes of nature of goodness, passion and ignorance, under whose spell and under whose illusion the whole material existence is working. So to get through all this, unalloyed, unmixed, pure devotional service to Krishna is required. And that's the destination for those who are very mature in their spiritual understanding and practice, who want to be free of birth, death, old age and disease. So that is text 22 of chapter 8, and we will take questions. If anybody has any questions, you just raise your hand.
So the demigods are not connected to Reiki and the KQ force?
Doubtful. They have other powers
They
which
also
may work similarly. Hanji?
they also are in direct connection with Krishna?
Not really. They are reporting to Lord Brahma. Through Brahma they can approach Vishnu. Lord Brahma is the director of the entire material manifestation. And whenever the demigods run into trouble, they don't go to Krishna, they go to Lord Brahma. So they are thinking that Lord Brahma is supreme, and then beyond him there is Vishnu. So they have, of course, know that. But they don't know Krishna. They know Vishnu, they know Brahma, they don't know Krishna that much. Some of them might. Some of them do. Like in Kali Yuga, pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan, the demigods came to know who he is. That's why they want to come back here. So the fact that they want to come back means they're not getting direct traction to go up to the spiritual sky from there so fast. They want to cut it short. So they're saying, okay, let's appear here and go through all this and quickly go back to the Supreme. So they have this knowledge. From time to time they also get educated by Krishna, like Lord Krishna educated Lord Indra. Lord Indra, thinking he's king of heaven, he's very superior, and Brahma is the chairman of the board sitting somewhere quietly. I am the guy who's on the firing line, I am the CEO, like that. And then Krishna just showed him up that no, you're not. Lord Brahma once thought that, he was wondering, how many, I've got 4 heads, I'm highly intelligent. I wonder what the other universes, what Brahmas are like. So immediately Krishna called a conference of the Brahmas, and then he found, when he went there, that there were so many Brahmas with thousands of heads, hundreds, thousands, and he was the smallest Brahma of all. The least amount of heads he had was 4. So like that, Krishna is educating everyone through his Vishnu expansions or through other expansions of his.
Then we are lucky we have the direct perception of enjoying the love of him through the Reiki.
Yes, you have that
the
great
loving energy.
fortune to be directly connected. Yes, and you can feel it and you can enjoy it. And if you chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Also, that also releases the heart energy. So that's good to do both. Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, if there are some people who are worshipping other manifestations of Lord Krishna, is that also contaminated devotion? For example, Lord Ram or Lord
Well,
Parshurama.
contaminated devotional service is if you contaminate with demigods. It's not contaminated if you worship Ram. You can worship any of the incarnations or the expansions of Krishna. So you will reach to their place. If you worship Lord Ram, you will go to Ram Lok by whatever other name called technically. If you worship Lord Varaha, you will reach his place. If you worship Lord Hayagriv, you will go to his place. You worship Lord Matsya, you will go to his place. And you will enjoy there in the spiritual sky. But that's not Krishna. If you want to associate with Krishna, then you have to go just for him directly.
So what is the purpose of these manifestations of him which are not really him?
Not really. No, they are him. He's just appeared in different form to execute different function. Let me give you an example. Once the gopis were playing in Vrindavan, playing hide and seek with Krishna. And Krishna appeared as Vishnu and in his four-handed form. And saying, you were looking for me. He said, no, we are not looking for you. We are looking for Krishna. So that is unalloyed. It's not contaminated, but they are wanting the essential Supreme Person in his original forms, Satchitananda Vigraha, Govinda. So yes, Vishnu is there, is a form, but when you look at Vishnu, there is some awe and reverence. You are looking at them. With Krishna, it's very different. So it is in a friendly way, or it is in the way of a friend, or it's of a lover, or of a servant, or one is neutral, or one is a protector of Krishna. If you think that I have to protect him, like a lot of devotees have this Laddu Gopal they carry with them like a little baby, and they have to serve just like a baby, and if you don't do that, you're in trouble. So these are very difficult services. So that is different. Vishnu, it's not that Vishnu is lesser. It's a different manifestation, it's a different mood. It is not the playful mood of Krishna. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. All the other incarnations are working. He is the only one who has no work, apparently. Do you see? What does he do? He wanders around in the forest, plays his flute, he talks to friends, he plays pranks, he fools around with the gopis. Everybody loves him, no matter what. That's not the same mood with Vishnu. With Vishnu and Narayan, you are more formal. So there is a personal informality with Krishna that can be achieved in different ways. But can you imagine, it's not conceivable that you would play with Vishnu the same way you would play with Krishna. I mean, the way the Krishna's friends played with him, that they would play with Vishnu that way. No, they would be more formal with him. Because that is a formal aspect. Okay?
Manifestations of Lord Krishna also want to go to Golok, so that
I wouldn't know about that. They are himself. Krishna has expanded himself into this form. He knows who he is, though they also know who they are. But they are unseparated manifestations of Krishna. They are the unseparated, whereas the living entities are separated manifestations. So it's very difficult to understand that. Yeah. So let's not get brain fever trying to do that. I mean, you can try and explain with words, but the reality is that they are the personal expansions of Krishna with full power, like Lord Nrsimhadev came out from the middle of a huge stone pillar to protect Prahlad. So we are reminded of that when you look at the second symbol of Riki. In fact, the first symbol. a curving, shining sword that creates space where nothing exists. So he can manifest anywhere. Okay. Any other questions anyone has? If not, we can conclude. Anything? Okay. So we will conclude today at text 22 of the 8th chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
You've been listening to Bhagavad Gita for All, a lecture series by Nalan Narula. Explore our website, gettingpositivekarmanow.com, for more on how to change your karma and destiny.